Well guys, we just got tons of new things for the Mario 35th anniversary celebration, and we're still going to be getting them for the first couple of months of next year. We still have the movie, we have Mario Tennis Fever, we even have a Switch 2 edition of Mario Wonder, so there's a lot of stuff on the table after just getting Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, but the question today is, what is Nintendo going to do for the Zelda 40th anniversary, which is arguably just as big, if not bigger. We know that the anniversary officially starts in February of next year, which is just a couple of months away, and is normally around the time of the big general Nintendo Direct. So the question is Nintendo going to have a general Direct, or are they going to share it with the Zelda anniversary and just have 1 hour-long Direct like they did with the Mario anniversary? It's hard to say, but of course, we got to start predicting some things. Real quick, we are still on our way to 400,000 subscribers. If you're excited about all things Zelda and ready for the coverage next year, make sure you're locked and loaded here. Leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Zelda and Nintendo in general. We're super close to 380,000, so let's see if we can hit that goal soon. But on to the anniversary. Now, when it came to the Mario anniversary predictions, I was pretty spot on. In fact, I think I was pretty much 100% spot on. The only thing I wasn't sure of was the next big Mario game getting teased. I said that if they started the Direct with the Mario anniversary stuff, that we weren't going to get it, because that's something you end a show with. A brand new 3D Mario trailer, that's something you definitely want to end your great Nintendo Direct with. So I knew it was going to be there as soon as they started the show with Mario anniversary, and I pretty much predicted it down to the T. I knew, of course, there'd be something involving the Mario movie, learned the name of it being the Mario Galaxy movie, and learned that the cast was returning. I think any of us could have predicted that Mario Galaxy 2 was going to be here finally. I didn't think they'd repack it with Galaxy 1 again, but it made even more sense once we learned the name of the Mario movie being Mario Galaxy. And I didn't predict Mario Tennis again. I mean, who could have, after we've already gotten so much of Mario Tennis in history? I was actually predicting something like Mario Baseball, like a new Mario Sluggers or Mario Basketball, but I knew it was going to be some sort of Mario sport game. It just felt right for it. And then Mario Wonder getting a Switch 2 update was also something else that I predicted, just because Nintendo's been going crazy with Switch 1 games coming back with Switch 2 editions. Shoot, I was even close with the Yoshi game. I thought that the next Yoshi game could be a 3D Yoshi's Woolly World style game, or a 3D Yoshi's Island, or we'd be getting a new Captain Toad, but we ended up getting a new Yoshi game, but it's in another 2D form, which I'd rather it had been 3D, but you know what, we're going to have to wait and see what Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is going to be about. But for the most part, I was really spot on with all the Mario stuff. So I'm having full confidence in the Zelda stuff as we move into 2026. But in order to really try to figure out what Nintendo's going to do, I wanted to go back to at least the last 3 anniversaries and talk about what Nintendo did, because they do not sleep during Zelda anniversary years. They do a lot of stuff, arguably even more than Mario does. But let's talk about what they did for the 35th back in 2021. They had the first reveal of Skyward Sword HD. This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Zelda game ever. I was so excited for this. This is something that I've been asking for and waiting for so long. They also revealed a Game & Watch similar to what they did with Mario and Mario's 30th anniversary. Now, it wasn't a super crazy anniversary, but they did finally give us our first real look at Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We got a trailer before this, but it really didn't show us any gameplay or anything like this. This is one of our first times actually seeing the game in motion and stuff, so this was a pretty exciting time for Zelda fans, finally seeing that next 3D Zelda game, and we never knew it was going to be so long until the game actually released. I think it was planned to come out in like 2022 or something like that, and obviously Tears of the Kingdom didn't come out until 2023, so we had a long wait, but still they were giving us little bite-sized pieces of this game, hyping it up slowly as we got closer to it. Nintendo had a big 30th anniversary in 2016 for Zelda. They had tons of new amiibo, Skyward Sword on the Wii U's Virtual Console, the 3 Dark Horse art books with like the lore and stuff for Hyrule, and also Symphony of the Goddess Orchestra going around, and you know, obviously you could get tickets to listen to that, but then obviously the big thing of 2016 was the huge coverage on their brand new open world experience for Zelda being Breath of the Wild. They had a whole E3 dedicated to one game. It's the first time ever, I think anyone's ever done this, was have one game as their entire E3 press conference, which was literally just Breath of the Wild, and it was worth it. This game was so awesome. It really just carried the entire E3 for Nintendo, got everybody excited for the brand new console being the Switch, and also for Breath of the Wild. It was a really big deal, and they just pretty much spent the whole year hyping this one game up. And then we go back to 2011. This was the 25th anniversary, where they obviously released Skyward Sword, the best Zelda game. I'm sorry, I still love that game to death. I know I might be in the minority, but man, I love that game. But yeah, there was the big release of that game with a bundle and everything. And they had like other little things like merchandise, a Zelda themed room at Nintendo. And they also had Link's Awakening DX on the 3DS eShop and Ocarina of Time 3D released as well. So they did a lot for Zelda on the 25th. It was a pretty big anniversary. 2 titles, a remake and a brand new game. So here we are about to enter the new year of 2026 in Zelda's 40th anniversary. I would like to imagine this is going to be a pretty big deal for Nintendo. They have a movie in the schedule for early 2027, and there's been lots of things floating around for what they could do. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, and I want to talk about everything and the likelihood of it all happening. So let's of course start off with a tease for the next mainline 3D game. Now, this might sound way too early right now, but remember, Tears of the Kingdom was first teased in June of 2019. This was just 2 years after Breath of the Wild and still 4 years until its final release in 2023. They teased this thing super early, and we can even talk about Breath of the Wild, how early that game was teased. It was shown off at multiple Game Awards years before. The early kind of play test footage that we were seeing off screen. I mean, we were seeing some really early footage of that game, so Nintendo likes to do that with Zelda games to build hype. So there's a small chance we could at least get a concept art, something to get people talking and excited for the next 3D Zelda game, and just to see where their direction is. Are they going for a third Breath of the Wild style game? I hope not. Hopefully it's a new world and new characters and a new story. So literally just seeing some concept art or just something to kind of make us, you know, understand where they're trying to go with the next Zelda game would be really cool to see, but something like that would be awesome. I don't see it happening, but you know, one can hope. But also remember, at the beginning of next year, we'll be close to the 3-year anniversary of Tears of the Kingdom. So yeah, that's a pretty good chunk of time. We could be seeing something just teasing what they're planning for their brand new Switch 2 console. That would get people really hyped, because I know people are still waiting on the 3D Mario, 3D Zelda, whatever it's going to be. So just seeing something and just having that promise that, hey, a Zelda game is coming to this new console can be pretty huge for people. So who knows, maybe we'll get some more off-screen footage, but I don't know, Nintendo doesn't really seem to be doing stuff like this anymore. They seem to be keeping games very close to their chest and under wraps until we get a lot closer to those release dates, which some people really do enjoy that. Not revealing a game until it's absolutely ready, I completely get that, but still, I think I wouldn't mind just a little tease, just like I said, a screenshot or some type of artwork or something to just let us know that they're developing or working on the next Zelda game. Obviously they are, but just kind of giving us an idea as to what they're going to be doing with this Zelda game would be awesome to have. I did just want to bring this one up briefly. I do not think we'll be getting a new 2D game. I think it probably is way too early. I mean, think about it. It's only been a year since Echoes of Wisdom, just past a year now, so I think it's going to be a while. Whether Grezzo is working on a new one or it's a completely different studio, maybe internal Nintendo is working on a thing, who knows, but yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything with that. There's something that I think we could see, but I want to get to that later on in this video. This one I'd be willing to bet so much of my money on. Like, I would probably put some heavy bets on this one. Seriously, it just makes so much sense when you look at where Nintendo is at with Zelda and how they're still far off from the next main line. What could be big enough to celebrate for next year? A huge remake of a game that everyone loves, and that just makes sense to be Ocarina of Time. Maybe Majora's Mask eventually, but Ocarina of Time first. We got that 3DS remake, but a lot of people, you know, they liked it, but it still wasn't what people really wanted to see, and having a full HD, maybe even 4K remake on Nintendo Switch 2 would be a dream come true, man. And oh my gosh, this is something that I just feel like is all but confirmed. We have had tons of patents come out that normally indicate something coming up in a future Zelda game. We've seen the Breath of the Wild ones and the Tears of the Kingdom ones that actually came out being true, like the skydiving, the going through platforms with Ascend and stuff, and even the vehicle manufacturing. And we're even seeing some that looks like it's referencing Ocarina of Time in the Forest Temple. So I really do think that this could be our first little hint. Also, the fact that Aonuma has gone on record to kind of, in a way, tease Ocarina of Time. It seems like every single time he's asked about a game getting remade or something like that, he always says no comment. And he said the same thing multiple times about Ocarina of Time getting a remaster or a remake. Remake. We've also been getting some very weird and vague hints from different accounts, like a whole Nintendo deal account, which normally just posts Nintendo deals. They literally posted a Zelda remake, and that's it, with no other information, and they seem to be teasing it again in another post that was just letting people know if you're experiencing hardship, here are the crisis numbers that you can call, but started off by saying, hey, listen, like Navi does in Ocarina of Time. Combine that with the fact that Nintendo themselves has been hinting at this thing. I mean, they even released a great Deku Tree Lego set. It has two different versions, the Ocarina of Time version or the Zelda Breath of the Wild version, which is like, why the Great Deku Tree, Nintendo? Not to mention, they also had a tease, or at least Lego posted a tease, which seemingly references the final fight from the end of Ocarina of Time. It just has Link facing something, and obviously it's going to be Ganon. You can see Zelda in the background with the flames and the broken pieces of the castle. So they're releasing some Lego set, it looks like. I'm guessing it's just going to be a giant Lego Ganon in the same way they had a giant Lego Bowser. So if it wasn't clear to you yet, maybe it's clear now that it seems like Nintendo really is getting ready to reveal some type of Ocarina of Time remake, which just excites the joyous boy in me so much. I actually really didn't start playing Zelda games until around the Wii era with Skyward Sword, but I ended up playing Ocarina of Time technically as my first Zelda game on an emulator before buying Skyward Sword as a physical Wii copy. Yeah, I played the emulator of Ocarina of Time, and I loved it so much, dude, and I replayed the game so many times now. Obviously, I have the 3DS remake version, and just seeing this again would just draw me back to like late middle school, early high school, and man, I could just dream about how this would work, especially if it's a really ambitious project. There's been some rumors from some sources, like Nash Weedle has even claimed that this is going to be a very ambitious project, and he's heard about it. So man, I am so ready for this. This would be such a massive thing for next year. One of the biggest remakes I think Nintendo could ever actually make, to be honest. Now, for this next game that could be coming, I highly recommend you go watch AndresRestart's video that he just posted not too long ago. He has been really following the Zelda 40th anniversary stuff, and really even the Ocarina of Time information and stuff, and been, helping us all get excited for this stuff. It's all very exciting, but he's been digging into Monolith Soft, which has helped produce and work on past Zelda games as well, like Breath of the Wild. They apparently have some type of project in the works, and they actually even posted some concept art of what they're looking for, and a lot of it is Zelda themed. We're not sure if this concept art has anything to do with the game that they're working on, but it seems to be some sort of fantasy Zelda inspired game. And it appears that this game has codename Legacy, which doesn't match previous Xenoblade codenames. For instance, for Xenoblades 1 through 3, they use codenames like Small Folk, Big Folk 2, and Big Folk 3. In fact, the concept art kind of reminds me a lot of that retro-developed Sheikah game that they were working on back on the Wii. This was going to focus on a side story with the Sheikah, and it looked kind of like a Dark Souls game the way it was being developed, but obviously that game got canceled, and we never heard anything else about it. So who knows, maybe Monolith Soft is picking up on what Retro's ideas were, and maybe making a Sheikah game or some type of spin-off that's a bigger game as well. Who knows? There's also a very good chance that Monolith Soft is simply the ones working on the Ocarina of Time remake. Maybe that's their job while, internal Nintendo is too busy working on the next big mainline 3D open-air Zelda game, which would make a lot of sense. But either way, I still think having Ocarina of Time remake is so important here, especially for fans of Zelda that has just not been clicking with Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom's gameplay formula and want that classic 3D Zelda dungeon gameplay back. What better way than to bring back the OG original, one of the best Nintendo games, one of the best video games of all time, being Ocarina of Time, but bringing it back in a super ambitious remake way would be so great. We also know that the Zelda movie is officially underway, so we'll probably be hearing something about it towards the end of 2026, considering the fact that the movie is slated for May 7th of 2027. We'll probably get our first trailer, something similar to what we've been getting with the Mario movie. This next prediction, I just don't think is happening. I'm about at the end of predicting this thing because, man, it's just so tiresome. But of course, the coveted Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD ports, I do not think they're happening. We have Wind Waker on GameCube NSO right now, so I think the closest thing we could get is Twilight Princess, the GameCube version coming to NSO. That might make some people mad. I know they might rather have the Wii version or, of course, the remade version on Wii U, but I think that's as much as we're going to get with those two games, which just stinks. I wish they just ported over the Wii U remakes, but what are you going to do? And finally, there's one more remake or remaster that I could definitely see happening. If we're not getting a new top-down 2D Zelda anytime soon, I think they should just remaster the one from the 3DS being Link Between Worlds. This is one of my favorite Zelda games as well. I think it's definitely my favorite top-down 2D Zelda game. It's something that I think they could easily do with little work. Of course, I'm not a game developer, but I don't think it's going to be anything as ambitious as a full asset remake type of game where they could just do the Luigi's Mansion 2 treatment. I know some people may not like it, but pretty much just remaster Link Between Worlds in the same way they did with Luigi's Mansion 2 and just slap it onto the Nintendo Switch. It could even just be a Switch 1 game that you can play on your Switch 2, something like they did with the Mario Galaxy remasters. So yeah, I think that would be a cool little thing to have, and I think it's a game that definitely needs to come back out and re-release, something that you can play on modern consoles. So yeah, just keep giving us 3DS games. Like, I hope they do that eventually with the Kirby games as well, but I think Link Between Worlds could be a cool one to bring over for the anniversary. But yeah, I hate to get everybody's hopes up super high on stuff that might not happen, but when you look at everything we talked about today, a lot of this is very reasonable. I think the most far outlandish thing that we talked about was a hint at the next 3D Zelda game, which probably is not going to happen, and that's completely fine. I really do think an Ocarina of Time remake is something that's as big as a new game. I'm not joking. In a year that could already be possibly giving us, a new 3D Mario game, Splatoon Raiders, and possibly something else like a Luigi's Mansion 4 or something along those lines, that would be a super packed year that I'm super stoked for. There's going to be other stuff for sure that I just didn't mention. For instance, we're probably going to get some new 40th anniversary amiibo. Like, they always got to give us amiibos, some merchandise, maybe a new book or something like that. I would love a surprise, like a spin-off maybe RPG tactical Zelda game or something like that, or a Lego Zelda game, something we just weren't expecting, but who knows. Let me know in the comments down below what you think the 40th anniversary is going to be and what goodies are in store for us. Do you agree with some of my predictions? Do you disagree? Definitely let me know down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a blessed day. See you guys.